I'm now joined by Farah Shaukat Ali, senior journalist who has been monitoring the bond scam from when it happened, and we have been reporting on the bond scam for over 2 years. Farah, now I want to ask you, when we were talking to Zulfiq said that the Prime Minister knew that there was Arjun Aloysius was a director at PTL, and the Prime Minister had asked Arjuna Mahendran, the governor, before appointing him, to clear that matter out, to sort it out before it becomes a conflict of interest. Farah, this is interesting, don't you think?
It's absolutely very interesting, and Zulfiq was reporting what transpired at the Commission of Inquiry into the issuance of bonds by the Central Bank today, when the Prime Minister was present. Now, Chaturanga, if we forget all the salad and we look at the meat, there's one point here, and it's a conflict of interest. The Prime Minister was asked if he knew that Arjun Aloysius was a director and a shareholder of Perpetual Treasuries Limited in 2014. That means before 2015. And he answered in the affirmative. He said, yes, he knew that. Well, this begs the question that if there's no if, actually. He knew there was a conflict of interest situation. He should never have appointed Arjuna Mahendran. That is unacceptable.
Why is that never? Because for us now,
well, because we're talking about good governance here.
Yes.
One of the things about good governance is that if there's a potential for any conflict, then you leave it well alone.
Procedure, follow the procedure.
You must follow the procedure. Procedure is put in place to ensure that it is a level and equitable playing field for all. That is, by the way, one of the promises made by this government when they were elected.
With what we know, Farah, now, since we are talking about the procedure here now, this brings me to my next problem with what Zulfiq told us a short while ago. When the placement method was changed, the Prime Minister is telling the Presidential Commission that the procedure was changed and there was no time to study the matter.
Well, we can take that as he said, and that he had no time. Well, okay, he had no time to make a study because he says that they were trying to service an economy, part of which was out in the books, and
on and off the books.
On and off the books. Well, that's fine, Chaturanga, because such emergencies do happen. However, there was one other system that the Prime Minister could have put into play to ensure transparency and good governance. And that is, he could have gone to the Cabinet of Ministers, explained his conundrum that he was faced with, and he should have got cabinet approval to change a system. Chaturanga, let me remind you that this system has been in place since 1997 under A.S. Jayawardena, and it went on all the way till February 2015 when one person changed the system.
All this for us, the subject minister, can he change the placement method?
No, the subject minister, in this case the minister is none other than Ranil Wickremesinghe. He is the minister in charge of the subject of the central bank.
Yes.
Now, he can make a suggestion by all means, but there is something called the Monetary Law Act, which envisages that all such changes must be made by none other than the Monetary Board of Sri Lanka.
So whether there was a study being carried out or whether there was no study being carried out, the Prime Minister changing the method of placement is not acceptable.
It is, not only is it not acceptable, it is simply against the rules. Every single bit of corruption that this country has been faced with post-independence is because there has been a departure from process. We must understand that all these processes were put in to ensure transparency and an equitable playing field to everyone.
Definitely.
And once you depart from that, that is the root cause of corruption. And there's no good us hiding behind that. There is no other explanation. That is the explanation.
Since we're running out of time for us, very quickly, out of the key points that we just mentioned, what can we gather?
What we can gather is that the Prime Minister has agreed that he knew there was a conflict of interest. He asked Arjuna Mahendran to ensure that the conflict of interest position didn't exist, in the sense that he wanted Arjun Aloysius to divest his shares and his involvement in perpetual treasuries, And of course, we now know that that was never done, because although the shares were divested, it was divested to another business which Arjun Aloysius was a significant shareholder in at one point. And at the end of the day, this change has resulted in a loss that has been estimated by some experts at 145 billion rupees, and that is it's a colossal amount, and that is from the first bond. Now then, we must bear in mind, Chaturanga, that in the past, J.R. Jayawardena handed over the reins of power, the leadership of the United National Party, to President Ranil Premadasa. Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga handed it over to Mahinda Rajapaksa, who in turn handed it to Maitripala Sirisena. In the case of Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, we must bear in mind that either he should resign his position, because his position is quite untenable, or he must be sacked from the United National Party, a la Robert Mugabe and ZANU in Zimbabwe. That is the fate that will happen.